Field Boss. Inspired by the parang. I think this is called the Malaysian parang. It is the parang style or design that Ray Mears has made famous. It was inspired, or this knife was inspired by that parang. As you can see, has the drop down for a lot of the chopping chores. Okay, let's talk about the Field Boss. It has a compound grind that I am known for, as a Scandi into a saber. This cutting edge is the same angle. It's approximately 12 to 13 degrees on either side, okay? So it's the same angle all the way through. Once you find the angle as far as the Scandi portion, just follow that same angle all the way through. Easy, sharpen, it's very intuitive. Just lay it on the stone and sharpen it, really. Has a faceted tooth right here, and I'll demonstrate what that purpose is for here in a moment. And a saber with a faceted tip. You see the facet right there in the light, for reinforced tip. It's for piercing. It's for bow drill divots. Okay. Has a butcher style tip with a slight facet up here for processing game, running up those bellies, legs, so on and so forth. And has a false edge on the top for piercing again. Okay, this tool could be used for self-defense. This tool could be used for bushcraft, woodscraft, game processing, camping. I like tools that is very versatile, that does a lot of tasks very well, and this tool fits that bill. For your chef chores, it has the handle out of your way, straight edge for all of your chopping your vegetables on camp or at the house. You may want to just throw away your chef knife and use this one. Hey, wouldn't blame you a bit. Okay, has a curved, this curved Scandi is when you're doing chest lever cuts, and I'll demonstrate that here in a moment when I sit down. But let's show you what that tooth is for, as far as processing wood. So when you lay it on a branch or anything, that tooth hits before your hand, so you have a wedge right here. It's going to split apart your material. So, like so. So you don't have to baton or beat on your knife to get to the center part of your wood. Okay? Then you have your Scandi that you can do those fine feathers or do feathers. Like so, and then the 90 degrees fine to do your fluff. Lost my ferro rod there for a minute. Fell on the floor, on the ground. Like so. Get your fires built. We're going to do a pit stake. This is not the best wood in the world. It's dried, seasoned. But gets the job done. Like so. See how that curve leads into what you're cutting, so the wood doesn't slip off. It cuts it. Now you have a tent stake with a notch, pot hanger, whatever you need to do. All right, let's talk about the handle. Handle is what I call a 3 or 4 position handle. It will come with a piece of leather. Stick your little pinky in there, grab a hold of that bubble right there, and it's like a Leica speed, okay? For chopping your fine briars, your brush, things that is thin, so speed has to cut before it realizes it's being cut, okay? Standard grip, choked up grip, has a bubble right here. It's a warning. If you grip the handle tight enough, it acts as a guard, okay? But it's not too much in the way to choke up on it and find that balance. That balance is right there, okay? So it doesn't feel like a large knife. The weight on this knife is just under a pound. It's like 15.6, somewhere along in there. And this was 3V that I weighed, so AEBL is going to be pretty close to that. All right, so just under a pound. We'll say a pound or under, okay? 3/16 stock. So it's a lot of knife in a reasonable package, if you will. And we'll go through the specs here in a minute on lengths. Okay, let me show you what this speed is and how it does in brush. Okay, this is the second time I've done this. First time the video didn't take. So this is the tree that I chopped down with this. See that? It's like a hand axe. All right, let's get some brush here. So these fine briars, fine stuff like this, if you try to hit it, it just bounces out of the way. But if you use speed, see, it just chops it off. Get another one here. See this? Just chops it off. That's what that's there for. That's what the Leicas were designed to do. So I borrowed that design feature for this. It works very well. All right, let me sit down here and we'll go through some specs. Okay. Handle width is just over 2 inches. And again, these are all handmade, so they're, the dimensions are gonna vary slightly, okay? The saber portion from the tip is about 4 3/4. The Scandi portion to the tooth is about a 1/2 inch. And then from that tooth, the curved portion is about 1.5 inches. Okay, handle length is 5 1/8. Width of the handle this way is right at an inch. And again, you know, this is micarta. If it's Sure Touch, it's going to be slightly larger than that. Sure Touch comes, these are 3/8 micarta. Sure Touch, the 3/8, sometimes it's just slightly wider. But so if you want a thicker handle, then the Sure Touch is the better way to go. And then you've got the extended pommel here for hammering and striking and hollowing out bowls and things like that, because it is a 90-degree spine. Has a 90 degree on this spine as well. Okay. This is one of those knives that ticks a lot of boxes. Even if you want to do fine carving, and I didn't carve this with this knife, but just kind of give you an idea. If you want to do some fine carving, just lay the handle on your armpit or so. And if you watch a lot of the indigenous peoples who use machetes and parangs and things like that in the jungles, this is how they handle them. And a lot of people say, you know, one tool option, which I've done a video of my thoughts on a one tool option. And in certain areas with certain skill sets, with certain times of the year, this should be considered as a one tool option in those situations. Now, it doesn't apply as a one tool in all situations, okay? That is something that you're going to have to decide if it fits your needs, okay? Because I don't know your needs. But if you want to do that fine carving, I don't know if you guys can see that, but see how it just, you can do very, very precise controlled cuts. And if you watch how you grab the blade, and folks just have a heart attack thinking I'm gonna cut myself. Folks, I've been dealing with knives a long time. And if you deal with knives, you're gonna get cut, okay? The key is Band-Aid size. Band-Aid size. We try to stay out of the emergency room. So watch what you're doing. Do not use edge tools if you're tired, if you're in a hurry or a rush, or if you're not familiar with that tool. Be very careful. Slow down. Watch what you're doing, okay? But with just a little bit, and I'm holding the blade. I am not touching this part, okay? I'm holding the blade. You can do very precise cuts that way, okay? It just takes a little bit of practice. Watching video gains knowledge. Getting in the backyard and whittling on a stick gets skill, okay? So with just a little bit of practice, you guys can do this as well. Watch what you're doing, slow down, okay? This knife, the blade on it's wide enough to get under those steaks on the grill, flip them over, pancake flipper, camp chores, cutting brush, clearing brush, kitchen prep, game prep. It has the rounded belly here for game prep processing, those moose, those elks, even whitetail. This knife would handle it very well. Has the curved scandies here for the feathers, the carving, those pot hangers, things on camp. I think all of the large knives that I've done up to this point, the Stranded Woodsman, the Hunter-Gatherer, I think those knives were leading up to this design. I think at this point in my knife design career, I think this is the perfect camp knife, especially for me. Now, if it is for you, I don't know. I don't know your situation. But in the eastern woodlands, this would certainly fill the bill for a machete, for a belt knife. A mountain man's sheath would go great with this knife. If you don't know what that is, then just kind of do a little Google search and it'll show you what that is. It's not too large to put on your belt, okay? These knives, the first runs will be available in about 4 or 5 days. Today is the 14th of October, 2023. So look for a follow-up video with a certain pre-sale video. There'll be about 24 hours before these become available on my website, okay, under the Shop Knives webpage. That's at wcknives.com. But look for a video that will showcase the knives that will be listed on that sale. I have 10 in AEBL and I have 6 in 3V. And people's going to ask me, which one do you prefer? If you're going to use it for what I just demonstrated, the AEBL is fine. The AEBL, to me, holds an edge, a finer edge than 3V. I like the way AEBL cuts better and slices better than 3V. However, if you're going to use this knife as a pry bar, as batoning and heavy use, then the 3V is certainly tougher, okay? So pricing on these, and just kind of give you an idea of why. This is a standard field lore, okay? So you're looking at twice the steel, or at least a half times more steel than a field lore, and in a lot of cases twice the steel, because you got width as well. It comes out of the same plate, so I can't get as many knives out of that plate. So steel wise, you're looking at twice, maybe 2.5 times the steel cost. You have this much more area that has to be ground, so you're using more belts, you're using more labor. Everything is more. So the price on these large knives is more, okay? The only thing that's the same is the handle. Everything else is more. So the pricing for AEBL is $600, just the knife. The pricing for 3V is $700, just the knife. And it's up to you to decide whether that $100 is worth it to you or not, okay? I can't make that decision for you. You're going to make that decision for yourself, because I don't know your skill level. I don't know what you're going to use the knife for, okay? So on and so forth. All right. There will be an option to add a Kydex sleeve, which will have eyelets on both sides, so you can lash it to a pack, throw it in your pack, do whatever you want to do with it, and not have it on your belt. And those will be $60 for the Kydex sleeve. And they will be made out of 0.08 inch Kydex, which is probably around 5/32 thick. It's very thick Kydex. Most sheaths are made out of 1/16 inch, so these are thicker than your standard Kydex sheaths, okay? So they're very robust, heavy duty. They will be green with brass eyelets, just like the ones offered on my WCSKs, if you're familiar with that. So it'll be an OD green Kydex sheath out of 0.08 Kydex with brass eyelets, okay? The knives that'll be up for sale in a few days with a video. Most of them will be micarta. There will be a handful in AEBL. I think there's 3 or 4 that's in SureTouch, and there's 2, one in 3V and one in AEBL that's made out of wood, okay? So look for that video. Be sure and subscribe to this channel, and also click the bell if you're interested in buying a Field Boss, okay? Now, usually my first runs go fairly quickly. I don't know with these, because the large knives do not sell as well as the standard bushcraft size knives do. So I'm not sure how they're going to go, but just in case, be prepared to get these immediately. Now, if you miss out and you still want it, I will have a select number that can be pre-ordered, but there will be a 10-month wait. But the benefit to that is you can do a 50% deposit on those if you have to wait, okay? So I hope everything is clear as mud. If you guys have any questions, just list them on the bottom. But this is the introduction. This is explaining the design, okay? This is not the pre-sale video. That is coming in a few days. But this is just explaining the design of what the thought intent is. This is a camp knife, a field knife. This is one of those that anything you have to do in the field, this should do those tasks and do them very well, okay? So I do not subscribe to the thing that a versatile tool is adequate at a lot of things and master of none. I do not subscribe to that. I think that with some thought and some design, you can get a tool that will do many things and do them very well. Will it do all things well? Probably not. Will this fillet a fish in the right hands? Yes, it would. Okay? Is it as good as a fillet knife in filleting a fish? Probably not. Okay? But everything else for a knife use, this knife will excel at it. Okay? All right. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome. You're phenomenal. Couldn't live my dream without you. Thank you so much. And so until the next one, you guys get in the backyard with a little stick. Be sure and take a child with you, get the opportunity. And don't forget those plenty of Band-Aids and lots of knives. And we'll catch you again very soon. Bye.